Let us continue. Let's start with the speech of Bassanio. Here Bassanio is trying to cheer up Antonio, and he says that I want you to keep up with your courage. I want you to have courage, as I'm ready to give my flesh, blood, bones and everything before you lose even a single drop of blood for me. At this, Antonio says that he feels like as if he is one sick sheep in the flock, the one who deserves to die, the weakest fruit that drops to the ground first. He feels that he is the weakest of the group, and he's the one who should fall to the ground first. So he says here, Bassanio, the best thing that you can do is keep living, and I want you to write an epitaph for my gravestone. In the meanwhile, Nerissa enters in. She was dressed like a clerk. She hands the letter to the Duke. While the Duke was reading the letter, Shylock was busy sharpening his knife on the sole of his shoe. Now Crescenio was also present there. He got irritated seeing Shylock sharpening his knife. He says here to Shylock that you are sharpening that knife not on the sole of your shoe, but on your own soul. You are a cruel person. No metal, not even the executioner's axe, can ever be half as sharp as your hatred. Can't any prayer reach your heart? At this, Shylock says that no one is smart enough to make him change his will. At this, Crescenio got really angry, and he said that he feels that Shylock would go to hell. He is a disgusting dog. Then he says here that killing you would be justice. Now this is what Crescenio feels, that killing Shylock should be justice. Then he says here that you almost make me forget that I am a Christian. You make me want to agree with the philosopher Pythagoras that animal souls are reincarnated in human bodies. Your vicious dog soul used to belong to a wolf that was killed for slaughtering humans. When he died, his cruel soul passed out of his body and went into yours while you were lying in your unholy mother's womb. And that's why your desires are wolfish, bloody, and revengeful. Again, Shylock tells Crescenio that you're only tiring your lungs by speaking so loud. He tells him to be quiet and says that you might lose your mind, because he believes that the law is on his side. Now finally, Nerissa enters into the court with a letter. She presents the letter to the Duke. The letter is read. The letter says that I have received your letter, but I am very sick at the moment. It is written by Dr. Bellario, and it says, as it happened when your messenger came, a young lawyer from Rome was visiting me. Now here, young lawyer is Portia. His name is Balthazar. Balthazar is Portia's disguised name. I told him about the case of the Jew and Antonio the merchant, and we consulted many books together. He knows my legal opinion about this matter, and he has his own expert opinion as well. I am sending him in my place to answer your request for someone to act as judge in this matter. Now Dr. Bellario was sending Balthazar, who was disguised Portia, as the lawyer. Please don't underestimate him because he's so young. I never knew such a young man with such a mature head. I leave him to you. When you put him to the test, you'll see how wonderful he really is. You hear what the wise and educated Bellario Right. Now this was the last line was said by the Duke. He says, I'm sure the court has heard what the wise and educated Bellario has written. Let's see the mercy speech. Here Portia says that the quality of mercy is not strained, means it cannot be forced. It drops onto the world as the gentle rain does from heaven. It is doubly blessed. It blesses both the giver and the receiver. It is the most powerful when granted by those who hold power over others. It is more important to a monarch than his crown. His sceptre shows the level of his temporary power. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute to God Himself, and earthly power most closely resembles God's power when justice is guided by mercy. Therefore, Jew, although justice is your aim, think about it. None of us would be saved if we depended on justice alone. We pray for mercy, and in seeking it ourselves, we learn to be merciful. I've spoken about this to soften the justice of your plea. If you insist on pure justice, however, then this serious Venetian court has no other alternative than to pronounce sentence against the merchant. Here Bassanio tells Portia that he is ready to pay twice the amount, and if that is not sufficient, he can pay 10 times the amount, or else he is ready to give his hands, head, and heart as a security. Even if that is not sufficient, then he feels that maybe Shylock's enmity or Shylock's cruelty is far more than that. He wants the Duke to make amendments in the law. In order to do great right, he wants the Duke to do a little wrong. At this, Portia directly refuses Bassanio and says that there is no power in Venice that can actually make any such changes. However, this should be recorded as an example. At this, Shylock was really happy. Portia took the bond from the Jew as she wanted to have a look at it. After looking at the bond, she tells Shylock that according to the bond, the money wasn't paid back, and so the Jew may lawfully claim a pound of flesh nearest the merchant's heart to be cut off by him. Then she wants Shylock to be merciful. She says, you can take 3 times your money, and please allow me to tear up this bond. At this, Shylock says that I'll tear it up when it is paid. You seem like a good judge. You know the law. Your explanation has made sense. I urge you to deliver the verdict. I swear that nothing can say will change my mind. I am sticking to my contract. Portia agrees with Shylock and she wants Antonio to say anything that he wishes to as his last words. Antonio says that he has very little to say and he has well prepared himself. Then he turns towards Bassanio and he takes his hand. He says, Bassanio, fare you well. Please do not grieve that I am fallen into this trap because of you. Antonio says to Bassanio that don't be sad that this happened because of you, because Lady Luck's been nicer to me than usual. Usually she makes the unhappy man live on after he loses his wealth, to spend his old age in poverty. But in my case, she is letting me avoid that misery. Send your honorable wife my greetings, and tell her how I died and how I loved you. Speak well of me after I'm dead. And when the story is done, ask her to judge whether Bassanio once had a friend. Be sad only at the fact that you lose your friend. Your friend doesn't regret that he paid your debt. If the Jew cuts deep enough, I'll pay it instantly with all my heart. Bassanio was really sad and he said to Antonio that I am married to a woman who is as dear to me as my life. However, I am ready to give my life, my wife, and the whole world to this man here to save you. Following Bassanio's example, even Gratiano was ready to sacrifice his wife to Shylock in order to save Antonio. However, Portia tells Shylock that he has the authority to cut the pound of flesh from Antonio's chest. Now Shylock was all ready, and the moment he went near to Antonio, Portia says here that wait for a moment. There's something else. This contract doesn't give you any blood at all. The words expressly specify a pound of flesh. So take your penalty of a pound of flesh. However, if you shed even one drop of Christian blood when you cut it, then the state of Venice has the authority to take your land and property under Venetian law. At this, Gratiano, he started praising Portia. Now Shylock was quite shocked. So he says, he questions here, is that the law? Portia says that this is what you asked for. You asked for justice, and be assured that you will get only justice. Then she says, so be ready to cut off the flesh. Don't shed any blood or cut less or more than exactly a pound of flesh. If you take more or less than the pound, even if it's just the thinnest fraction of an ounce, if the scale changes by even so much as a hair, you die and all your property will be taken away by the state.